It's another edition here on Zero Blog 30, and today we have 4 rounds in the magazine. Round number 1, USA. USA. Kate's got the skinny on all the active duty military Olympians and Paralympians competing over in Tokyo. And spoiler alert, the Air Force speed walking team and Navy ribbon dancing squad are the talk of the village this year. And not just because they're all light enough where they can fuck on those beds and they won't break. That's not the reason why at all. I feel like those cardboard beds, now that they're like, oh, they're really sturdy, that makes you want to do a little hard fucking to see if you could break it, right?
And I also heard that the mattresses are made out of like a type of bubble wrap. Don't you want to see if you can pop some bubbles? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like you start ripping a little rope, and all of a sudden it starts sounding like gunfire going off. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, round number 2. A British military tank commander is in hot water for putting national security at risk over the details of a video game. The tank hardos are almost as bad as us barbecue hardos. Round number 3, speaking of war crimes, turns out the U.S. sucks at them.
No.
War crimes.
War games.
We're
pretty good at war crimes, actually.
Turns out the U.S. sucks at war games, and we recently lost one so badly that the Joint Chiefs are overhauling just a little bit. Just kidding. The entire war strategy.
Well, yeah. You mean Afghanistan? Is that the war game we lost?
I don't. No? We did lose that one too, and we talk about that a little bit in the interview, which is going to be at round number 4, where I sat down with an active duty Marine Corps major who spent the last few years teaching at Kansas' beloved Naval Academy and is currently going to the War College. I was blown away by his leadership style and some of the things that he said. That is the type of active duty leader that we need in the Marines, and I'm glad that we got to talk to him. You'll enjoy that in round number 4. But before we really get going, Kate, I've got a bone to pick with old Kate. I've got an old bone to pick. Kate and I have spent a lot of time together through this podcast, through the Chaps and Kate show on Sirius XM, the High Haters Pod. We've become like brother and sister.
He's the reason I have health insurance. Yeah.
There was no happy birthday from Kate. None.
And so here's what happened. Can I explain myself?
Yes, you may. You better make it good.
I get this crazy anxiety when I know I have fucked up, where my brain says, you better just hide from him. Okay. And so
but you gotta have to see me eventually.
I know. I've been dreading this. I've been dreading seeing you today. Trust me. I realized it was your birthday. I saw the posts around noon on your birthday, and I thought, oh my God, noon's already a little late. When you're as close as we are, that text should have been shot out at midnight the night before, would have been best. Rhea and Fran, it was Rhea's birthday too. She's like, Fran texts me at midnight every year on my birthday. I'm like, oh my God, Chaps is the Fran to my Rhea, and I didn't send him. Anyway, so then it was already...
Maybe if you cleaned out your stupid text messages, you would have seen that I texted in the group a happy birthday to Chaps much earlier than noon.
Well, that added to it. I said, oh my God, Cons and Nick already got to him. I should have been way before those guys. I didn't. So then the anxiety started to build, and I let the group chat go all day without even looking at it. I was like, I can't even face this guy. I'm dying here. And the more time went on in the day, the worse it got. So then I thought, right towards midnight, I'll do a funny post of an ugly photo of Chaps on the Zero Blog 30 Instagram that's like, oh, happy birthday to Chaps, or it's a bad picture of him, so that he'll know that I know that it's his birthday and that I fucked up.
Voice cracking is hilarious. And the best part about all this is because I know Kate, and I know that's exactly what happened. It wasn't that she doesn't care about me. I knew that she had got wrapped up in a little bit and then just kind of disappears, and I'm used to that. So it is totally fine. All is forgiven.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. My last year in my 30s.
Wait, dude, you're 39?
39.
Get out of town.
Oh, yeah, 39. Wow. Last year in the old 30s. So I was talking on Podfathers, and they're asking like, oh, what are you going to do for 40? I was trying to think. I don't think I've had any type of birthday party for myself since I was probably like 10. I mean, it's been a long time. Even 21, because I wasn't a drinker. I was going to Bible school.
Right.
I think, you know, some people place a large importance on birthdays. Other people kind of brush it under the rug and don't pay much attention to it because they just think, what did I actually even accomplish? I just didn't die for another year. You are not a birthday person, really. Other people. I'm
not at all. And to that end, I was so proud of my wife. This is the first year that she actually listened when I said, there is nothing on the planet that I want right now. Zero. So please don't get me anything at all. Let's just have a night out by the pool. Like, we're going to hang out with the family, have a little pool night, maybe order some pizza. We ended up just ordering sushi after we were done swimming and stuff. But that's all I wanted to do. I don't want a present. Like, I'm at the place in my life where if I want something, I kind of have it already. And to search for a present just seems stupid.
Well, she reached out. That's what happened. She reached out to me. She was like, reminder, he doesn't want anything for his birthday. And I was like, got it. And that's why I was just trying to honor your wishes, Chaps.
Right.
Well, you did a good job. The only thing that I wanted, I actually got this year, and that was a brand new house, which you could get to with Cross Country Mortgage. Make it super simple to figure out how much you can save on a monthly basis and over the life of your loan. The numbers can be staggering. That's true. I'm going off strip here a little bit. The difference whenever you're talking about interest rate on a loan, like, you think, what can the difference between 2.9 and 3.5 be? Tens of thousands of dollars.
They added up over 30 years. Yeah,
over the course of a loan, like, legitimately tens of thousands of dollars. So going with a company that knows how to get you the best interest rate is what you need to do. The rates right now are at an all-time low, but that's not going to happen forever. So you got to jump on these kind of deals now. Call today. You're going to get a fast, free quote, and their partners are going to save you a lot of money. Call today. Our friends at Cross Country Mortgage, they're going to give you a free home valuation that is free for just calling. Just like an all-star athlete, Cross Country Mortgage pushes themselves through the entire lending process. If they get the blocks, they'll figure out the way to get the ball over the line. Go to crosscountrymortgage.com/barstool to learn more about your future home buying experience or refinance your current mortgage. Cross Country Mortgage, LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans are subject to underwriting approval. Talk about a boring job. Being an underwriter, for fuck's sake.
No, if it's for medicine, I disagree. It could explode your head with a big ball of poop. And make
I don't. I mean, like, underwriting contracts, not like ad copywriting.
Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. Never mind.
Kate's very experienced in the home. She needs to go to crosscountrymortgage.com to learn some of these terms that they use on buying the old home. All right, so let's actually get going. Well, before we get going, I had a story that came across the old wires. It's not military. It's not in the rounds, but I came across I'm going to say it is the most horny story I have ever seen on the internet, besides porn. Like, I've seen some porn too.
Right. Okay. Horny. That's pretty horny. Right.
When people are actively thrusting against each other's genitals, no matter what they might be. Listen to this headline. All right. Because we talk a little, every now and then there'll be a story that comes up that touches the military that'll be about Supreme Court decisions. And if you've never taken a class on, like, constitutional law and going into Supreme Court decisions, they're written incredibly boring. Like, it's obviously it's the Supreme Court, so the lawyer speak is going to be out of control. Listen to this headline. The headline: man calls multiple libraries and begins masturbating after librarians agree to read Supreme Court decisions to him.
My man is just committed to justice in every way possible.
So this dude is so horny that he's calling up small town local libraries. Like, you're not going to get this over in Manhattan. Like, Manhattan's public library, the library is not going to be reading you Supreme Court decisions over the phone.
Right.
But he's calling, like, small town USA libraries and having the librarians read him just the Supreme Court decisions about, like, Brady versus Maryland, where it's the pornography facts, where they're describing the pornography, and they can hear him beating off over the phone.
No.
That's got to be the most horny story of all time, right? Like, that dude, you just got to lock him up. I don't know if he did anything illegal. That guy deserves to be locked up.
That's big Buffalo Bill energy or whatever from Silence of the Lambs. Like, something.
Me.
Yeah, that's weird. I'd vote yes
Puts
on me.
lotion
Yeah.
on the skin.
Yeah.
It puts the card back in the card catalog.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm getting all dewy.
Dewey
Yeah.
Decimal.
Yeah.
Oh, Dewey. All right, let's actually get going with some of the stories, because it's hard to put aside some of that stuff when it's fresh on your mind after like scrolling the internet for a little bit looking for something to blog. You're like, yikes, I don't even know how I'd write that out. Where I didn't.
Well, that was like
a
when.
creep.
Remember when I read the military instruction manuals, but horny?
Oh yeah,
That was funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's whatever floats your boat.
That's what they should do, honestly, because the troops would sit around and giggle and listen about it. If you did that,
They
if you're
would.
like how to clean a fucking mod deuce,
Yeah, but
gotta
horny.
punch that boar.
Mm.
Punch it. All right, so round number 1, we're gonna head over Tokyo, where they're known to have vending machines for panties. What's up with that, Kate?
Yeah, cue the Olympic theme song. Do, 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 do. Anyways, first
And that's how
lieutenant-
you get around the DCMAs that get to sit around for a copyright violation. Good luck copyrighting that, Apple, you bitch.
Yeah, good luck, you dumb bitch, Apple.
Mhm.
First Lieutenant Amber English became the first U.S. service member to clinch a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics, hitting 56 of 60 shots to win first place in the women's shotgun skeet on Monday. English is among 19 members of the armed forces competing in the Summer Games. According to the DoD, we got 17 soldiers, a Marine, and a Coastie who are vying for gold. Fun fact, the U.S. Army has sent 446 soldiers to the Olympics and have brought back 111 medals since 1948. And why is that? Because I was like, they're not better than the other branches. They don't have better people.
Yes,
They
we
have
do.
full-time teams.
They have full-time teams. The Army World Class Athlete Program, they allow top-ranked soldier athletes. Basically, they let that sport be their full-time job pretty much. And then they train throughout the year. And the goal is to get them in the Olympics and the Paralympics. And then in their free time, they go to like high schools and go give speeches elsewhere, whatever. And so it looks really good for the Army. And if you're a big time athlete coming up, you're like, well, that could be an option for me, kind of thing.
You know what we have that's kind of similar, Kate?
What?
The nerdy, like the Marines, the stereotypical Marine is like a meathead and all that.
Yeah.
The only thing that we have similar is the band, the Commandant's Own.
Yeah, the Commandant's Own.
They're not like actual Marines, like in the Commandant's band. A lot of them aren't, and they are just contracted musicians.
Right. You play the timpani and you're built like a string bean, and you see a fellow
or
Marine
the tuba squad. You can be in
or
the
tuba squad. You put on your blues. Yeah, absolutely. But I thought that was pretty cool that they have like an actual, I didn't know that, like an actual program for these athletes. So
Well, if you would have listened to some of our podcast interviews over the last couple of years, you might have figured that out. Okay, we've had several of them on the show.
I will never.
Kate, let me ask you a question.
Little colorful from Kate today.
Let me ask you a question. When you are not on an interview, do you ever listen to them?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Oh, I do. And a happy birthday to Chaps.
Thank you very much.
Sweating bullets in my mouth is dry over here. Big time anxiety show for okay. Anyways, I wanted to look at each one of these athletes and find some cool factoids and what they do and blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to jump into it. First of all, tons of shooters, as one would hope with the military. I didn't know there's all sorts of different kinds of shooting in the Olympics. I didn't know air pistol.
I had no idea air pistol was an Olympic thing either. And my favorite thing before Kate goes into these, so like these people, these Olympians are the best in the world at shooting, at doing what they do. Like they got to the fucking Olympics shooting. And on our pages and on like task and purpose pages where they're announcing like an Army lieutenant just won, and she'll be like, they'll have her picture with her holding the weapon. You'll have dudes legitimately criticizing her weapons techniques.
Yeah.
She just won the gold medal.
Yeah. I wouldn't have held it like that.
8 billion people in the world, she is the best.
Well,
so
it's an air rifle, so don't count.
The problem with some of these events like that, especially coming from the military, is there's so many more people that can relate and can say like, oh, well, I could do that and I could do it better. Like how many people out there can go do gymnastics, So like I can't relate to doing gymnastics, but I can relate to shooting a rifle.
I shot a rifle once, so I know.
Somebody actually said that shit, like in the skeet shoot where she hits almost all of them. One guy was like, I've been hitting 300-yard on sights for 15 years. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Right.
who cares?
Yeah, please shut the fuck up for the love of God. Well, I was picturing like, oh, Olympics, you picture young, like buff kind of meathead type people. The first person up, Army Staff Sergeant Sandra Updegraft, age 50, on the air pistol, medical logistics specialist. She also served in the Navy. She's been in since 89. The picture of her, she's 50.
And she's a staff sergeant?
I maybe wrote that down wrong.
You had to have, because if she's 50 and a staff sergeant, she's a fucking shitbag. She's been in since 1989.
To me, makes her
also
cool as shit, which makes her awesome.
Consider this: if she's been in the world-class athletes program the entire time, I'd imagine maybe promotions don't happen as quickly.
I don't know.
1989. That's 32 years. I mean, we're talking about one every 5 years.
Yeah.
I do love to picture her now because I've seen her photo and she looks like a lovely woman. I love to picture her as like this mega shitbag, like rolling in on a Harley with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth with her
smoking Virginia Slim 300s.
Yeah. She's from Delco, I think.
With one of those sticks like Corella DeVille, because that's what was cool when she joined.
This one's for the go birds. This shooting my goals for the birds. Anyways, so shotgun skeet, as I already said, Army First Lieutenant Amber English, logistics specialist, the first U.S. service member to clinch a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin gave her a tweet, said, "Congratulations, proud of you."
I wonder how
Pretty
much
cool.
you might, because you know obviously more about the Army promotion system than we do. You win a gold medal. What do you think that's equivalent to military award wise? Like if you're going on your OER, for instance, if you have that, and you are putting it in a package and you are the battalion commander or whoever, and you see that she just won a gold medal at the Olympics, what do you think the military equivalent medal would be to that?
I would say minimum Silver Star, and I might even go so far as to say Distinguished Service Cross, and people are probably going to crucify me for that, but that's a pretty big deal to win a gold medal in the Olympics.
I would have to agree, because to be you get awarded like I just recently saw, for example, what's her name? Lethality Jane tweeted out that there's a soldier, or maybe it was Lady Love Taft, one of those. And she tweeted out that there was a E3 who had just won Soldier of the Year award on his base, and he got an Army Commendation Medal for the base. That's just for one base. The entire world, you're the best at shooting. You got to think that's high level. Like that's somebody that you want to put out in front of people.
Absolutely. It's a pretty high merit.
I don't think so. I hit 56 clays at my uncle's gun club last week. I didn't get shit for it. So I don't think this
you ain't that special. Come on down to Mayo, Florida.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of
Come
shit.
on,
I'll put any
she's
kind
a
of
woman.
I got this Budweiser can from 1978. Raise hell, praise Dale. You'll put that on the little barbed wire fence. I'll shoot that fucker off from you. Give me a distance. I'll shoot
I
it off
shot
iron
3
sights.
Bush's baked bean cans on a string.
I used nothing but 10 gauge plugs.
I shot it
That's
with dip spit out of my own mouth hole. Anyways, up next we had Army Staff Sergeant Nicholas Maurer on the air pistol and rifle. I think it was also air rifle. Then skeet shooting, Sergeant Philip Jungman, air rifle specialist Allison Wise, small bore rifle which is kneeling, prone, and standing from 50 meters, specialist Sagan Medalina. And there's this cool video of her, this promo video where she's shooting a flame off of a match with her gun from a distance.
Ridiculous, dude.
Yeah. 23-year-old Kate, let me tell you. I don't care if you're man, woman, whatever, you're shooting a match
That does
out.
not matter.
We're
That
not gonna,
puts William Tell
You're
to
putting the
shame.
flame out in one spot and starting one in another, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a fun note, but I was Googling their names to see if I could find any information beyond what like Stars and Stripes and those publications had published about these Olympians. And a lot of them were in their hometown, small town newspapers. And hers was, she's from like a small town that looked like near Yosemite or something like that. And in the interview, they're real excited. They had like describing the beds and all that stuff, even though the article's supposed to be about her. And then they interview her parents, and their quote is them just trying to figure out what channel she's on and when she's going to be on. I just thought it was really cute.
I mean, because they probably have zero idea about like streaming services and how any of that shit works, because you could basically watch any event you want to if you have Hulu Live now.
Yeah, they're like, it's on
everything
NBC, we think, but we're still looking into it. It was something cute. Anyways,
there's
also,
a lot of those stories that are small town, like she is still a girl, the 17-year-old girl.
Yeah,
who
that was
won,
bananas.
and she won the swimming competition, and there's only one 50-meter pool in the entire state of Alaska, and this girl just won the best swimmer. It's a gold medal.
And the
and
video
I
of her high
searched-
school going nuts was awesome.
I heard, and then she was, not to go too in depth with swimming, but she actually trained in a yard pool as opposed to a meter pool. And that's enough of a difference that really can screw with you when you're training for swimming. So that was really, really impressive.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Also, small bore rifle, but a big excitement. Nothing boring about it. Sergeant Patrick Sunderman of the West Virginia National Guard. It was just a fun hobby for him growing up. And then he ended up getting on WVU's rifle team. I did not know colleges had rifle teams. I did not know that was like a college sport.
So
I can't imagine all of them do, but
No.
West Virginia for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that like Bard or like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
Like
not
when
going
you
to the
drive-
rifle team at Colgate.
Oberlin's not really big on that. So
You drive onto post at West Point, it has like all our national championships, conference championships, what have you, and rifle and pistol, all that stuff's always up there.
I would
Yes,
like to
a good thing.
go. We should go to the the President's Cup version of the shooting matches where all the different schools get together and shoot. That would be fun to watch.
that would be
I would go to
awesome.
that.
Paralympian air rifle prone. And when I say air rifle, I know I'm wrong, but I'm picturing the one Kevin uses in Home Alone to shoot the little things down the laundry chute.
A Ryder BB gun.
Yeah. Staff Sergeant Kevin Wynn, Paralympian. He was struck by a pressure plated IED while in dismounted foot patrol in Afghanistan, spent the next 2 years recovering at San Diego Naval Hospital, and he was up on his feet 3 months after selective amputation. Fought to stay in the Army, passed all the rigorous physical fitness tests, weapons quals, and field training exercises, and then made the U.S. Marksmanship Unit in 2014, and his shooting career began in 2015. So
Always so impressed by those
Mhm.
individuals who, by all accounts, no one would scoff at you if you said, you know what, I'm going to hang
I'm
it up.
done.
You're like, thank you for your service. I'm so grateful for the sacrifice, and you don't have to give anything more to your country. But then they go through all these hoops to get back to active duty. And I'm always will be impressed by those people.
yeah, pretty awesome story there. Also 50-meter prone shooting, Sergeant John Wayne Joss in the Paralympic
What a
category.
name.
If
For a
your
shooter.
name, John Wayne Joss, you better fucking know how to shoot. And this
Is it
guy,
me?
pictures of him, he looks like he could shoot. Moving on from shooting, boxing, Army Staff Sergeant Naomi Graham. Unfortunately, she lost to Zenfira Magomedalevia. With a name like that, you know how to box in Russia. But 32-year-old ammo specialist, she was homeless at one point before joining the military and only started boxing about 10 years ago. She was a big favorite. I know she's got a pretty good following on Instagram. People were just rooting her on. She seems like an awesome person. Even Mark Wahlberg was in her comments rooting her on this morning. So pretty cool. Paralympic swimming, Staff Sergeant Elizabeth Marks, former combat medic, Pat Tillman SP Award winner, 2017 Army Women's Hall of Fame inductee. She was injured in Iraq and didn't even discover that she liked swimming until she was swimming for her recovery at Brooke Army Medical Center. Yes. So many cool stories on the Paralympic side. Wrestling, Sergeant Ildar Havazov. He is making his second Olympics. But the first time he went, he was representing Uzbekistan in the 2008 Beijing Games. He and his wife entered their names in an immigration lottery several times to find better opportunities here in the U.S. When he got here, he wanted a better life for his 2 daughters, joined the military, got on the wrestling team. So there's just so many. I'm rambling, but I love these cool stories. Specialist Alejandro.
Yeah, we're not
Sancho.
going to go through all these, Kate. There's
No,
like
wait.
there's like 20 more.
No, there's only a few more.
A few more.
There's
Let
only
her
2
go.
more.
Let her
Oh,
go,
okay.
Chaps.
Okay.
Let her go.
Okay.
Alejandro Sancho.
It's
I think they all
it was your
deserve-
birthday, but let her go.
Okay.
Alejandro Sancho, he was born to Cuban immigrants, grew up in southern Miami, and he followed the footsteps of his stepfather, who used to do judo in Santo Suarez in Havana. So he switched to wrestling, obviously, from there. But
Speaking
Havana.
of Cuba, their shit right now is insane. If you
Yes.
haven't looked up what's going on, and it's not widespread in the news, I think partly because COVID and partly because of the Olympics, but it's kind of getting brushed aside. Did you know in the last 9 days, they've had 5 general level officers who have been killed? 5.
Whoa.
crazy what's
And they're
going
all
on there
saying
right
that
now.
these are like a freak accident. There's currently like hundreds of people that are missing that were involved in all these different protests and shit that's going on in Cuba. But having 5 general level officers disappear because they were outspoken against the government and being like, oh, it's just a freak accident. No, man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not a great place to live.
Moving on to the modern pentathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, first of all, modern pentathlon. Fellas,
Okay.
no Trista Crick in it. Without cheating, name for me the 5 events in a modern pentathlon.
All right. Now I'm going to say something first.
Go ahead.
Of the 400 some odd Army athletes who have been in the Olympics over the years, who's probably the most famous?
Caitlyn Jenner.
No.
Oh, it's the dude from that they wrote the movie about.
No.
Louis Albertini?
He's
Lou
pretty famous.
Zamperini. Yeah, Lou Zamperini.
Yeah, all right. He's up there. But the other one I was going to say was a little old general by the name of Georgie Patton, who came in 5th in the 1912 pentathlon at the Olympic Games there. So for that reason, I just happened to know the pentathlon: riding, swimming, running, shooting, and I might have used to be archery. I think it's like fencing or like sword play.
Yes,
or whatever.
That is correct. It's fencing, swimming, horseback riding, shooting, and running. And this to me is so random. Like, why would you have these 5 particular events?
Well, tell
this
them.
year I will. I was so excited learning this.
Cool.
I had no idea. This
Garth Brooks fans. It's all about being a cowboy.
True. Sergeant Amro El Jaziri and Sergeant Samantha Schultz are the ones doing this. All 5 disciplines are meant to represent the duties of a 19th century cavalry officer. In ancient Olympic times, there was a pentathlon that was discus, javelin, long jump, running, wrestling. And then after founding the modern Olympic Games in 1896, Pierre de Coubertin introduced the modern pentathlon. And he even had a story in his head that went with it. What if to create the Olympics and just make shit up like this? He's like, this was his idea behind the pentathlon. A soldier is ordered to deliver a message on horseback. When the horse went down, he was forced to defend himself with a sword and a pistol. He completed his mission by swimming across a river and running a long distance through the woods. Basically, message to Garcia as a sport.
Yeah, this is basically the beginning of Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah, and so every athlete has to fence every other athlete. Then they swim 200 meters. Then a random horse, they don't know the horse, and they are given unfamiliar. They don't know the horse, and they are given. They have 20 minutes to get to know the horse apparently before the race starts, and they're not allowed to bring their own like saddle and shit either. They're given unfamiliar equipment and just a random ass horse, and then they're given 20 obstacles to jump with that horse, with that strange ass horse. Then a laser gun, and a run where they have to hit 15 targets while they run the 5K. What a ridiculous, crazy!
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Shit. Yeah.
So fun fact about when Patton did his, so I forget what the exact number is, but 5 of his shots, like 5 or 6 of his shots didn't register on the target. And he goes, oh, no. I didn't just miss the target completely. They went through the exact same spot. So he argued that he shot through the exact same place more than once. Yeah. So he said he was very salty about coming in 5th.
Classic Patton. Come on. Try to make this quick. Oh, go ahead.
He also shot with a different rifle or a pistol than everybody else because he thought it was more becoming of his military service.
Also had a rib removed so he could suck his own dick.
True, he did. People don't know. People forget that. There was a year where the pentathlon, all the rifles' laser beams were messed up, and all these like shooters who were so good were all missing. And the Olympics were like, guess you guys suck at shooting this year. And they're like, no, we don't. Anyways, final couple of people here.
No, we don't.
They were like, no, we do not. Track and field specialist Bernard Ketter. He is 29 years old from a small village in Kenya. A Texas Tech coach was over there and scouted him out, brought him back. He got there on scholarship. Next thing you know, he's an Olympian. His brother is an Olympian for Bahrain. And he says moving to Kansas from Kenya and then to Texas Tech, he didn't know how to use the shower. He had to learn how to do everything. And now he's in the Army. He's in the Olympics. Pretty cool. He does the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase, which has 12-foot long water pits and hurdles, which is also ridiculous.
Some of these, it's like, okay, we got to get rid of these now.
It's like whoever
we're
came
so
up with
modern. Like, what are we doing here?
It's like the CFT. You're all like the 10 random things you have to do for the CFT.
They should, you know, those like Tough Mudder competitions, but it's not Tough Mudder where they'll have like all the different monkey bars. It's like a big old rat race or tag with that new extreme tag.
Ooh,
we need to have Olympic tag.
That would
Olympic
be cool.
tag would be incredible. And military wise, you have almost like bobsled set up where you have single person set up and break down and then set back up and functions just of a machine gun, and then team sport doing the same thing. How fast you could do it. I would love. They should have a military Olympics.
They should.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool.
final three. First Lieutenant Sam Kendricks. He can pole vault about 20 feet in the air. Pretty fucking cool. Intel Staff Sergeant John Stefanowitz. He's Intel for the Marine Corps. He was actually rejected. He's doing wrestling. He was rejected from his high school team. He didn't qualify for even a state tournament. He was only 5'3". Well, next thing you know, he joins the Marines, grows 7 inches and gains 70 pounds, comes back into town. That's big dick energy. You leave for the Marine Corps, little fella, not too athletic. You come back, you're a Marine Olympian. You're a total beefcake. Pretty cool story there.
Kind of cool where that works out too, because if you're 5'3" when you're in high school, you would kill to be 5'10".
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 5'10".
Like if you're just like a normal growth pattern, 5'10", you're like, come on, give me 2 inches. I want to be 6 feet. 5'3", you're like, hey, I'll take it.
I'll take it. This view looks pretty good from up here, bro. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, the first active duty U.S. Coast Guard officer ever, man or woman, to compete in the Olympic Games in any sport. Lieutenant Nicole Barnes, sailing. So there you have it. Pretty cool.
Sailing's an Olympic sport?
Yeah, so Chaps, to your point,
like a canoe and like a fucking like Tommy boys out there, like Chris Farley's out there on a little tiny boat.
Sailboat.
Hey, quit playing with your dinghy. No, but Chaps, to your point, I think the IOC should look at some of these older events. And now that we've brought in newer events like surfing and the skateboarding and stuff, and we need to keep
it fresh. Keep it fresh.
Keep it.
You don't think sailing's cool as shit?
No, I don't.
I mean, I think sailing's cool, but how is that an Olympic sport?
Because it's I got forced. I went on vacation with a friend in middle school to the Delaware Bay, and they made us take sailing lessons on these little tiny sailboats. It's hard as shit.
Oh, I'm sure it is, but like the barrier to entry for sailing is pretty difficult. Like the amount of people who have a sailboat that can practice, right, yeah. This is very small. Okay. I would like to see more that the average person could do. Like one that I saw on Twitter that's a great example is that new game where it's like a circle and they have you play it on the beach a lot and you bounce the ball off of the little circle thing. Spike ball. Olympic spike ball would be incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
Incredible.
I agree. But so what I'm saying is, as you bring in these new games, you got to 1 for 1 in and out.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Get rid of something else that we don't really care about anymore.
Like I automatically get rhythmic gymnastics out of my face. I don't want that. I want to replace any type of high dive. You can't do it off of a diving board. It's got to be off a cliff. It makes it so much more interesting when somebody jumps off of a cliff.
Absolutely. I agree.
Or what if they had those Olympic where you're like climbing up the Russian cranes like Chef Donnie does? Yeah. Like with the most fearless thing, but then somebody would die and that would be bad for business.
Olympic rope swing, because everybody loves a good rope swing accident. It's true.
Or just see how long you can. What about, for Marines out there, Olympic flex arm hang. Who can hang on the longest?
Who can just dangle? She taught me to dangle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, big time danglers. Well, as of Wednesday afternoon, there's a lot of gold dangling from Japan's neck. Mm-hmm. They are in first place right now.
Home cooking, some are saying.
Yep. So Japan, China, US, Russia, and Australia are currently at the top 5 as we record this on Wednesday. Who knows?
No. That's just gold medals. Total medals, the US is in the lead.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's
we're
neat.
Winning 31. Then the next closest is China with 27.
Oh, I didn't know we counted anything other than gold. I didn't know we were lowering our standard.
Yeah, we'll probably end up with the most golds anyway. It's just a matter of playing out the entirety of the Olympics.
Fair enough. There's a note here, South Korea golfers.
Yeah, I want to make note because we talked a lot about ours. The pressure that is on, we talked a little bit about it. I think maybe we did about the most pressure packed sports situations. And I put like a tweet out on Twitter where would you have more pressure? The final pairing at the Masters, you have a chance to win the Masters.
Oh yeah.
If you're kicking to win the Super Bowl, like to put your team in position to win the Super Bowl, you have to make a free throw at the end of the game 7 of NBA finals. You either lose or you win. And then Olympic level competition. Well, these guys have Olympic level competition, but also attached to it is their service to the military. They're both pro golfers. And if they don't medal, then they have to do their 2 years of compulsory military service.
Ooh,
that is pressure packed.
Holy shit.
Because you're going to lose so much money. I mean, losing 2 years of your prime pro golfer days, and who knows, you might not ever recover to that form. Because if you're in the military, you're not golfing 6 days a week like you are if you're a pro golfer. You don't have
There's
time
a
to do
couple.
that.
There's a couple drill instructors waiting at the 18th hole to see how they finish, and if they don't,
Good.
yeah, good,
Yeah.
good. Run your little bitch ass mouth over here. Good.
Don't even worry about going back to the village.
Leave your
You're not
clubs.
going back to the village for a long time. You're
Yeah.
with me, Bubba.
Leave your clubs
Good.
there.
Yeah, that is rough. But that's
What
the Olympic
if you
sport.
had on the line and you had to win a medal, and it had to be realistic for you not to have to go back in the military, and it's only Olympic sports that are currently going on, which one would you volunteer yourself to go in to try to win?
If it came down to like a basketball foul shot or something, I would put myself under.
No, you got to do the
basketball.
whole competition to
Oh,
together
yeah,
win.
So you'd have to be on the team to play basketball.
I would think the
Ooh.
only one that I would have shot at would probably be shooting. Like that's the only one with a realistic chance. You get hot, you get a good weapon, you get BZO'd in correctly. I might have the skills to do the prone. I don't think I'm not nearly as good with the handgun as I was with a long rifle. So I think I could do okay with the long rifle. I wouldn't embarrass myself like I would in basically any other competition that's out there. I mean, if you imagine throwing me in the 1500 meter run, I would get beat by like I would be so far that they thought the event was over.
Well, that was like last night with Katie Ledecky. She was doing the 1500 and she won it going away, but she was swimming the opposite direction of people in her race. That's how far ahead she was.
It was
Yeah,
almost like
That would
those
be similar.
NASCARs where somebody gets like a lap down and it's like the super slow cars up by the wall.
Oh yeah. When I was
Mhm.
in high school, I ran the 800, and I was always way last, and they would start the shorter races while I was still finishing mine. They
Wait,
would just,
I'm not done.
yeah, I'd be on my last lap, and I'd hear that they'd be just doing other races on the other side of the track. Like, well, all right.
By the way, that story reminds me of the most touching music video of all time. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's Standing Outside the Fire by Garth Brooks. Incredibly
absolutely.
touching.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at all these different events right now for the Summer Olympic sports. Because initially the first one that came to mind was handball. Because there was a very, very, very outside chance. I almost made it into the Army's world-class athlete program handball team.
Oh,
So I had a buddy who was on the Army,
Which is
team.
impressive because if you've seen Cons, he's got very teeny tiny little hands.
he
Yeah,
does.
They're like,
He does.
just
But
miniature little-
the handball team had heard that he was on varsity
Yes, as a freshman.
So they
Yes,
were
that's-
like, we got to
the
get
word
this
got
guy.
back.
we gotta get this guy.
The word got back. But I would say it might have to be handball, just because I'm looking at these other events, and so many of these I've just never done a day in my life, and I haven't fired a rifle since 2011 when I left active duty, so I got no shot in that either.
You're
So
competitive enough that I think you could find your way
Ooh,
into an Olympic.
What about
sport.
if we had, not that any of us would even come close, but I would watch the fuck out of Olympic arm wrestling.
yeah,
Oh,
that could be
but you
good.
had to be. Yeah, they have to be drunk.
Or the Russian slap competitions with those dudes with the
Yes.
big meaty paws.
Yes.
yeah. Actually, I think I'd be all right with those.
Yes. There should be a bar Olympics that goes at the same time.
Beer pong.
Final note. I was a freshman in college when my brother was a senior, and they needed one extra person for this beer Olympics they were doing out in the mountains one weekend. So begrudgingly, he was like, fine, Kate can come be on a team. I was so excited. I ate a ton of spaghetti before I went. I was like, I got a carb load.
Mhm.
Rookie mistake before a beer
Yeah.
Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, that's a bizarre move.
It was a bizarre move. The first thing I had to do
We
was
suck down all this marinara sauce.
yeah. And you know me, you know what kind it was, straight from the
Yeah.
can, my friends. It was Chef
Oh,
Boyardee.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I ate about 2 cans of Chef Boyardee spaghetti. I go up to this party in the boonies. I'm on this team that they're
You got to stop calling Chef Boyardee spaghetti. I mean, we
Yeah.
got an Italian
Whatever.
guy on the fucking pod now. Like that.
Great
You
no
make-
is
Yeah,
she's
no-no would not.
upstairs getting really pissed off at you.
Well, she's on fire watch right now, so she has
Yeah,
no say.
True. She's still on Roman duty.
The first event was you had to chug out of the hollowed out plastic bat and then spin around and do it.
Mhm.
Immediately, first event of the day, I'm trying to impress my brother and all his friends. Did the spin, stood right up, vomited. Whole long strings of spaghetti came out of my. It was like you could have put it and
Oh.
plated it and served it to somebody. It came out. It was like I didn't even chew it. It just big old splat. of
Which I know
spaghetti.
you do because you chew everything like 45 times
Yep. So
to include
anyways,
yogurt.
Mm.
True.
Yeah, for those who are unaware, Kate takes no less than 45 minutes to eat a single meal.
Yeah.
One plate of food.
Because in my mind, your poop is smoother if you chew longer.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to round number 2,
Uh,
where what do we got for round number 2? My computer is frozen.
First of all, who are the worst hardos online? I would
Oh,
I mean,
barbecue. You
apparently
post
it's Olympic hardos.
Olympic
like,
hardos. Yeah,
People
mental
are
health hardos.
people are legitimately acting like Simone Biles took the Constitution and shit on it
right.
because she withdrew from the Olympics. She already has a ton of gold medals. Leave her alone, dude.
Yeah, she's been through a lot. I would back the fuck off of her
Her
there.
brother fucking got off like a murder
point-
charge this year. Crazy life.
I think the point that isn't getting enough light is before the event, she said, something to the effect of she wasn't confident in herself that she would be able to land whatever tricks. What do you call them?
She's in constant pain. Yeah.
So I heard
I
heard from a gymnast, and I think I know what you're talking about, Cons. There's a gymnast who was explaining what happened and like kind of going into why she needed to withdraw. She said that gymnasts will sometimes get something, and it's a very simplistic term called the twisties, where you can imagine where it is like if you try to do a flip into the pool, where if you've done it a bunch of times, you know what to do properly. But if you haven't done it in a while, you don't know where you are in the air. You're not in control of your body. They said that you could tell that she experienced that on the beam, on the balance beam. And if she had the twisties where she gets lost in the air doing something like the Biles run that's named after her, they said that the force in which she runs and it could kill her legitimately. If she landed wrong, it could kill her.
Yeah, the consequences could be catastrophic. So I don't think that's getting enough play. It wasn't like she just like didn't feel like it. She was.
Look how high she is in the ground. I was talking on podcast. I think that Biles run that she does is the single most athletic thing any human has ever done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your body.
I was watching it thinking, it's funny you say that. I was watching it thinking, if I had to do any one of these things, it would literally kill me. Like my body would break into 1,000 pieces.
Men gymnasts were saying it will never be possible for a man to do what she does, and that because like her bone density, like she's just such a freak of nature and how she's made and how long she's trained and how naturally athletic she is, that they're like a dude couldn't do this. Like it's not possible. And not only did a dude couldn't do it, no other woman could do it either. She's the only person
Simone
in the
couldn't
world.
Shoot 45 skeets like I did down at Dougal's range yesterday.
She is, besides the swimmer Kay Ledecky, right? And
Ledecky.
Ledecky, not Ledecky. Ledecky. She's really Simone is by far the most notable Olympian in the American arsenal this year, because nobody gives a fuck about the dream team anymore. Like the dream team stinks. We're awful at basketball.
It's so terrible how bad our basketball team is now.
Yeah,
I'd rather the college kids go back.
Yeah, at this point, I would too.
Simone Biles hardos the worst. Barbecue hardos are the worst online. If you post a piece of meat that's like not cooked perfectly, all of a sudden 1,000 people come out of the woodwork and they're like, "Oh, actually."
Grass hardos too, man. They've been fucking coming at me.
Grass hardos, and then the
golf
hardos.
Golf hardos are pretty bad.
Oh, absolutely.
People reporting folks for rule violations in the PGA via Twitter.
Lame. And then in the military, rifle and tank Twitter and stuff like that. I called a rifle a gun once in a joke tweet, and immediately like 15 guys were like, "Actually, that's a rifle. Thought you served, bitch." I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, pardon me."
Or you'll say a clip instead of a magazine, and they're like,
yeah, exactly. That's the exact noise they make too. It's ridiculous. So we have a story of a tank hardo here, and I'll make this.
By the way, I'm sorry, Kate.
No,
I have to say this before I forget it. In my brain, when you didn't text me happy birthday, I taught you a lesson without even teaching you a lesson, because I found a video on TikTok where somebody gets the air knocked out of them so bad, and they're doing the as a punishment. I did not send it to you.
Wow.
Damn it.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Kate,
All right, say what
I'm
you're
sorry.
going.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Kate, the worst part about this is you have to carry this burden now with you for 365 days.
And if you
she has a chance to make it up, because everyone who really knows me knows my live day is more important than my birthday, and that's coming up on Friday.
Ooh.
Oh God, if I fuck that up, I just won't show up to the show next week.
And I'll be in town next week.
Oh God. Oh, the baby starts daycare, so I'll be in the office. I'll actually be around. Anyways, tank hardo story. James Clark, task and purpose. I'll make it pretty quick. I'll zip through this one. In an effort to prove that the developers behind a popular multiplayer vehicle combat game had made a mistake a player went ahead and published classified British military documents about one of the real life tanks featured in the game. So yes. So you know how Za at the office, he has like real life simulators in his apartment where he can be driving like a big rig truck or an airplane, stuff like that.
And he loves it.
He fucking loves it. Farming, all that kind of stuff.
I have one where I do ice road trucking.
Yes, ice road trucking. Yes. Yeah. I think you do that with Katie Leducki.
I do.
Ice truck roading. Anyways. Katie Leducki. That's what they used to call me in college after a burrito.
That's what happens whenever you send that little nugget of constipation humor that you had to go Katie Leducki. You should change your name to that on Katie Ledudu balls.
Anyways, the game is called War Thunder, and it's like a multiplayer combat game with modern land, air, and sea craft.
That's a terrible name. I'm telling you right now, that's a crap name.
War Thunder. Yeah, that looks like that's like one of those fucking Disney movies that's not really Disney, where they're trying to make another Little Mermaid that they could sell at the gas station.
That's what War Thunder is what I call it when I have a case of Ladukis. You know what I mean? Anyways, he was playing War Thunder, this guy, when he noticed a small detail wrong on a piece of equipment that for the average gamer, nobody would notice it. This game has over 25,000 devoted players. Nobody noticed it. But this guy, a military vehicle combat simulator a combat instructor, he's a British tank commander is what he claims. He said he reached out to Gaijin Entertainment, who made it, saying, you guys have inaccurately represented the Challenger 2 main battle tank that we use in the British military. He was so upset that he even noted, he's like, I'm a British tank commander from Tidworth Camp, home to the Royal Tank Regiment, which fields 2 Challenger tanks. He's like already outing himself. His handle was pyrophoric. He then went on to share Army equipment support.
That's a red flag. That handle name is a red flag.
Pyrophoric, yeah. He went on to post part of the Challenger 2's Army equipment support publication, the technical manual for it, to prove to them that he didn't model it correctly. And this is what he added with it. Linking those screenshots with the following edited image from the ASIBs, which is meant to show the relationship of the various components. The image isn't exactly to scale, as it's only meant to show the position of components relative to each other, but it works to the point I'm trying to make here. The trunnion sits centrally off the rotor, the trunnion support the rotor to the turret structure, and the GCE subcomponents, as previously stated, are mounted to the rotor.
He was upset. Big time triggered.
He was super triggered. Anyways, the image clearly said UK restricted that was just crossed out. And then the word unclassified was stamped over it.
I see. So, now I like that. I think that if you have a secret document that you're leaking, you just cross it out, initial it, date it, and then put unclassified. That's all you have to do, right?
Yeah. He just made it unclassified.
That's the official process.
That is the official process.
I do like how the president could just be like, unclassified, and that's what happens. It's like declaring bankruptcy.
We got aliens now. Fuck it. We're cool. It's fine. But the game developers at Gaijin Entertainment, they reached out to the Ministry of Defense and were like, hey, there's this weird wackadoo tank commander of yours, tank-splaining us. Is this allowed? And they were like, nope, not great. That's classified. And it's happened before. Other military gamer nerds on there have released classified information to prove to the game makers that they've got some little piece of a tank or a rifle or whatever, not 100% correct. Gaijin Entertainment have rejected the guy's stuff and removed the images for legal purposes.
It's pretty. Did you see the part where they talked about where the punishment for this guy could possibly be?
No.
What?
Yeah, so they said that he could end up having to go to Azkaban with the Dementors, which is just pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh, I arrived via owl.
It's not good at all. He's probably, if you end up in Azkaban, you get out of there, you're going to need our friends at BetterHelp, because they're going to suck. They're not going to suck your soul. They're going to put your soul back into your body. You may be feeling down or depressed or at a total loss, but if your stress is high and your temper is shorter than usual, or if you're starting to feel the strain of any of your relationships, because you could probably use a chance to unload the stress and get out, talk to somebody who is completely unbiased about your life, someone who isn't going to judge you or is taking on sides. I recently actually used BetterHelp because my counselor that I usually talk to was out. The VA, or not the VA, but the military one that I have typically was out for 2 weeks for vacation. and I need to talk to somebody because I had like a major life event happen and I wanted to speak to somebody. I was on the phone legitimately 24 hours later, like video conference with a BetterHelp person. And I had to pay for it out of pocket, but the cost is not much. I mean, if you're going to go out with your friends and go to like Buffalo Wild Wings and you split the bill, you're probably going to end up paying more than you do there.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have drunk advice. You're going to have good, solid professional advice. So make sure that you're doing that. If you need help, go to betterhelp.com. That's BETTERHELP.com/0. You're going to get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/0. It's a great organization doing great things and make ease of access so simple, which is very, very important in the mental health game. Let's move on to round number 3. Round number 3 is a little bit of war games. Cons, you probably did a lot of like the war games, chalk talks and shit like that at school, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, even to the point where it was really first getting introduced to start utilizing video games to simulate different scenarios. And then you'd play the game and then you'd talk through what you did in the game. It was actually a pretty effective tool. You can have someone stand up there and talk about, what's the word I'm looking for? Theory and, or like tactics. So you're blue in the face, but that's kind of boring and you might not absorb it as much. But now you start playing video games and it makes a lot more sense.
And I would imagine this time period at schools and places like West Point, the military colleges across the war college, I would imagine they use a lot of the GoPro cams too. Like, cause you can actually see real life combat where you don't have to imagine it. You could see it. Like, what should this squad have done here in real life situations and having back? It's a huge advantage that the modern leader of warriors can utilize that other generations haven't been able to.
Yeah, and also just about everybody now who is teaching younger leaders and younger soldiers, Marines, airmen, who have what have you, they all have combat experience. So they're speaking to it from a firsthand experience.
Everybody's that crusty ass sergeant major and we were soldiers, essentially.
Yeah.
And with these war games, I kind of picture it, say I'm a major company and I hire another company to come in and audit me to tell me how I am doing. Am I efficient? Is there anything I need to improve? What are my weaknesses? Basically, at the highest level, war games are sort of like an audit of how your military strengths and, at the highest levels are. And we failed miserably in this case. Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General John Hyten, said that we lost, without overstating the issue, we failed miserably. An aggressive red team that had been studying the U.S. for the last 20 years just ran rings around us. They knew exactly what we were going to do before we did it, he said at some sort of conference on Monday, that's terrifying to hear.
You know what that means? We're the redcoats.
Go on.
Yeah. No. I understand the comparison, but go ahead and explain it out.
Like the redcoats, whenever we came over, when we had the Minutemen militia and shit like that, we dominated them and like won the war because their tactics hadn't changed essentially for years.
Oh, yes.
You knew that they were going to come along lines and they're going to be in lines and they're going to have their muskets and do all their shit, line up, and then everybody's going to do it. The Minutemen were like, we're not doing that shit. We're going to fuck you up.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, yes, the Pentagon would not provide the name of the classified war game, but a defense official said one of the scenarios revolved around a battle for Taiwan. So basically they were given all these different battle scenarios. Basically, almost immediately, they were, the people went in, whoever the opposition was, went in and shut down all of their communication systems and kind of screwed the U.S. immediately. Like they were like, nothing the U.S. wanted to do. Also, I'm just kind of really summarizing this. All of the ships and the backup and everything, they had clumped together and they wiped out the enemy, wiped out our entire, long story short, they need to overhaul everything. They said, we basically attempted an information dominant structure where info was easily available to our forces, just like it has been for the last 20, 30 years. Well, what happened is right from the beginning, that information is not available. That's a big problem we faced. Yeah. So basically all communication, I'm butchering this, but basically we're like 30 years behind and it's terrifying.
Well, I think the thought is 20 years behind. I think still technologically, we are so far superior than most militaries in the world where we have the technology to do it. It's the think space because you have so much group think, you have so much doctrine. I think that's the word.
That's the word I was looking for. Yes. So, I just remembered it and I was going to say that, but yes.
So you have so much doctrine that's on the books about what you can do. And whenever everybody's been essentially learning the same doctrine, then the military leaders almost become indoctrinated to this simple concept that they have, instead of continually thinking outside the box of how are we going to do this in a modern age, because it's easy. We do that too. Like when we go to areas like Iraq or wherever we're going to be, the first thing we do is shut down communications. That's the very first. You either hit the planes or you hit comms. That's it. Like you do that all the time, because if you can't communicate, you can't get shit done. And we are so technologically reliant without tertiary options to back up our comms. I could easily see why we got our asses kicked.
Yeah, and I think also we rely on previous doctrine and don't try to think ahead. So like when I first got into school and started doing training, I mean, we were learning infantry tactics from way back when. And
why are they handing us muskets? We gotta make our own bullets. What the fuck?
Clearly, we went to the mountains of Afghanistan and the streets of Iraq, and we weren't using the doctrine. That didn't work, so it had to change. And then people were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and then they were teaching us how to fight in those scenarios. But I have yet to see, and granted, I've been away from the military for a long time, so I only know what I read. But it doesn't seem like anybody's sitting there and saying, like, how's the next war going to be fought, right?
Well, the last commandant kind of had brought that to a head, really, because he was talking about the need for the Marine Corps specifically to hand over almost all combat operations currently to the Army, so that the Marine Corps could focus again on becoming amphibious warriors, where you have the ability to do landfall reactions whenever you're going to storm beaches and do that type of thing, because that was training that had fallen by the wayside. It used to be in the Marine Corps before Iraq and Afghanistan kicked off, we focused a shit ton on jungle training and Western type of battles, because that's where we historically had the AO. And we went away from that. And now we've got to go back to a whole global mindset of where are we going to be in the next 10 years, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were saying too, and anybody who knows what they're talking about, who just listened to me summarize that, I summarized it horribly because I didn't want to read it because it had words like ubiquitous and aggregate, and I didn't know what those meant. And I said, I'm going to summarize it in my own way. I could be a little off. Anyway, he listed these 4 directives, and part of it was the thinking that, well, a lot of future battle won't even be that physical, like won't even be physically combative. It'll be more done on the interwebs kind of thing, like on the virtually kind of stuff. But he had 4 directives that I thought were interesting that we're looking to change. 1, contested logistics, creating new ways to deliver. I thought you were going to
say the first one was going to be treat every weapon as if it were loaded.
Loaded, yeah. No. Creating new ways to deliver fuel and supplies to the front lines. Example, using rockets and space trajectory to get large cargo spaceships into and out of battlefields.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
All we're doing in the military is essentially copying what Amazon is going to try to do to get you packages.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. The last thing some enemy sees is like 20 dick-shaped spaceships coming down.
That's it.
Yeah. Joint fires. So virtual aggregation for multiple domains, basically figuring out better ways to fire on people is how my idiot brain saw that. Be hack proof is the other. The Pentagon's push to connect everything demands always on hacker proof networks. Basically, they lost this one because they got hacked pretty much immediately is the way I
don't see that changing anytime soon. We are
right.
fucking terrible at the internet.
Yes.
But not only us, like I feel like that like, across the world, if there's somebody who knows how to build something, then they also know how to like hack it, right? Like you can, I feel like you can't know how to build something technology based and not also know how to hack it. Now,
except Apple.
Except Apple.
I think the only thing that's saved us so far is that our system is so antiquated that it's almost like a trick to the enemy. They're like, no, this can't be something we're missing.
It's like when your password is password.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, no, something's got to be more.
That's not going to be the fucking Oval Office nuclear football code password. Surely
ridiculous. Not. Yeah.
Or it's A675309 is actually the nuclear football code.
But the story wasn't super surprising to me. That I just feel like they were surprised to find that despite using the same strategies for 30 years, they're like, oh, we're going to have to switch it up. I probably totally misunderstood that story, but
no, I think you nailed it. I think that it'll be interesting to see how we adjust and do different things, because it's frustrating when you see reports like this and then go back to the military budget, the plan to overhaul and to really change up the technology. It's really lacking. It feels like we're so much focusing on futuristic weapons instead of futuristic training, where you're going to be in the environment that you want. Like we're spending so much money on F-35s and things like that that just aren't working when we don't need that. Most of the enemy isn't going to require you to have an F-35, but it is going to require you not to allow the Russians to completely destroy a pipeline with one password entrance that destroys the entire gas line on the East Coast for weeks at a time. That seems to be important.
You're absolutely right. Like there's some technology that is so just further beyond anybody else that they can't even comprehend.
Why are we making microwaves that can nuke people? We're not going to do that.
Right. And your F-35 example is perfect.
Sorry, DARPA. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we can have some pilot chirp me and tell me I'm wrong. But when was the last time we had like real air-to-air combat go on?
Oh, I think we had a little bit that happened at the onset of the Afghanistan war, because some people there was some dogfights that happened there. It also happened just a tiny bit in Iraq, and then in Desert Storm it happened. And we've had more air like with the Russians lately in the last 5 years than we had previous years, for sure, where they're constantly like on our MiGs are on our 6.
We're like
on our 6. All right, well then I was wrong.
2 dogs, and the Russian dog is just sniffing our butthole all day long.
That's exactly right.
Very annoying.
That's exactly right. All right, let's move on to round number 4, where we're going to do a little bit of an interview. It's not often that I'm blown away by somebody and their leadership style, but this definitely happened here. It was still good, in fact, that it left me boned up. I didn't need Roman swipes, but if you do, you can get one by going getroman.com/barstool. If you have trouble getting that dick up and you want to have it hard for whoever, Roman is ready. They're going to give you confidence that you know you can rise to the occasion. And according to apparently Jeff Bivert said that even if you don't have erectile dysfunction, if you swipe this bad boy on, you'll be lasting forever and be given the ride of her life. So if you want to do that, go with the U.S. licensed healthcare professional. They're going to work with you to find the best treatment plan. If your medication is appropriate, it ships to you free within a 2-day shipping cycle. Go to getroman.com/barstool and complete the online visit. They're going to take care of your ED without you even leaving home. It's an online visit today to connect with the U.S. licensed healthcare professional. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer, because Roman is ready to get that cock ready. Here's the interview. All right, now on Zero Block 30, I'm privileged to have Thomas. He's a major. I usually don't say major's last name, so if you want to, or active duty members, if you want to, you're welcome to. I'll just call you Thomas for right now. So I'm excited because you are currently a student at the Naval War College, but you've also taught a lot of young officers at the Naval Academy and other places. I want to ask you, as a major who is seeing the new crop that's coming through, I guess this is really going to be the post-Afghanistan, post-Iraq kind of officer that's coming through. What are you excited about this new generation of officers and what they have to offer?
Yeah, I'm very encouraged by what I see. I know it's kind of popular to be pessimistic or shit on. There's a Generation Z.
Right. The Zoomers.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could slam dunk on the Zoomers if we want, based on stereotypes that we see online or on TV. I get, for 2 years, I had the privilege of teaching them and being in the classroom with them. And I mean, from their own kind of sense of duty that I thought was particularly impressive, from their intellectual curiosities, for their willingness to kind of think outside the box, eager to kind of use some critical thinking skills. I generally think that the future naval officer, whether that's in the Navy or Marine Corps, we're in a good place with what's coming out of the academy right now.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting going through on your Instagram page, which is Warzone, going through some of the tags that you have on leadership and seeing some of their responses back to you. I guess those were teacher evaluations, and seeing some of the things that the young officers really wanted from instruction, which was real factual based stuff mixed in with a little feeling. Because a lot of times when you're doing military PME, you can have these very rigorous style of PME, but if the instructor doesn't show you that they actually care, that they're personally invested, all of that academic shit means nothing.
Sure. Killzone's the page. And I think that they appreciate the ethos, right, the ability piece. But then there's, the pathos piece, which is the emotional appeal, and being able to take the text take personal experience and then apply it to them in their future, obviously you get a lot more buy-in. What I would argue at the Naval Academy, though, is sometimes it felt like I was one of the few people that was like, hey, we better pay attention because this is everything we do here is prepare you to be future warriors in combat. Like there is no leadership in the military preparing yourself to be combat leaders. And so too often I felt like maybe I was one of the few guys or gals on campus really eating that drum that is ultimately going to need to apply to, what it was a violent time to be a swell in the Pacific. You could read back in 1968, 1969, like the naval aviators were dying, getting shot and so it's not just the Marine Corps infantrymen that I kind of try to deliver that message and bring them into it. But I do think that that's not required that it's a combat grunt that teaches that. I think anybody who's read a book and knows naval history can like, hey, what's the important profession and what should we prepare our future leaders to be thinking about, and kind of look through our history.
Yeah, and I think that you show that not just through the people that you're teaching there, that a lot of times leadership, we view leadership as our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, whoever. We look at our individual troops and say, these are the folks. But what I admire about leaders like you, that you take that up to a whole nother level whenever you're looking at people that maybe the American society, the civilians at large would say, it's okay, that's not your responsibility anymore. There's nothing more that you could do. And you're dealing with that with certain situations around interpreters that you know. And you recently had an article about you, loosely about you, in the New York Times about one of your interpreters. And I think with the news cycle now, we're seeing headlines through even the military circles about interpreters being brought over, and they're going to be placed in Guam, or they're going to be brought over to Minnesota, or wherever they're going to be. And you kind of like say, okay, well, that's over. But that's not exactly true, is it? There's still tons of people that are being left behind.
I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I had to be careful too much when I talk about, the strategy or the actual policies. But I can say that I personally know that there are many interpreters who are in a very dire situation. Times read an article a couple months back, and I was featured in that piece. And from that moment forward, I kind of became a guy who, whether it was service members who were stuck in Afghanistan, started to DM me, interpreters and served with us would start to message me, and I at this point have received hundreds people saying, what can I do to help my interpreter? They're stuck. And it's good that guys through Operation Allies Rescue, and that we're getting some guys to Virginia, I think, and that we're working at third country option, the Guam option, that kind of stuff like that. It's a little discouraging that we're figuring out all now, like had a lot of lead time to kind of crack the nut on this, maybe.
Right. How much time did you need to prepare? You had 20 years.
And maybe 20 years and a blueprint in Vietnam.
Right.
So this is not the first time. But again, I won't go down that road.
Well, I wanted to ask you, with all the news that's going around about all the different interpreters coming back, whether it's Guam, Virginia, Minnesota, the different spots around the globe that they're going to be, Qatar, a few other places, some of that is a little bit misleading because there's tons of folks that have worked with us that are being left behind. And you had a few months ago, you had an article that was written about you and you were featured in it for the New York Times. And they talked about one of your interpreters named Zach. Can you give us an update about Zach and what his situation is currently like?
Sure. So the New York Times piece came out just I think 2 days ago. That was on the cover, and then there was a Chicago Sun-Times piece that came out a few months ago, and
The recent news with the bills that Congress has passed, those are promising, and those are good revisions that I think they're moving in the right direction on that kind of stuff. Operation Allies Hope or Allies Rescue, I think that's great that we're going to get 2,000 interpreters to what looks like Virginia. When you're talking about third country options, like the Guam option, I think all that stuff to me seems very encouraging. But I know that since the Chicago Sun-Times ran that piece a few months ago, an outpouring of both interpreters and service members who have interpreters stuck in Afghanistan, stuck in the visa process application with real concerns about their guys' safety or their own safety. And so, I would say at this point, I have received hundreds of messages from interpreters and service members saying, my application isn't any further along in the process. I can't, and the long pole in the tent in this one is this thing called the HR verification letter. And essentially, how like government contracting is sometimes a little bit sketch, maybe you could say. Yeah. And so these contracting companies that were hiring the linguists from are gone. And so we're saying, well, we need your employer, this contracting agency, to send us an HR letter that verifies your employment. Well, they don't exist.
Right. They don't have a shop out front like a recruiter in a strip mall.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of these interpreters who cannot prove their employment because that contractor that they work through does not exist, will not respond.
It's not like we're giving them W-2s in January, like that. Those aren't showing up in their mailboxes.
Correct. And so my guy just sent me, a screenshot today of the email he received from the Department of State. It's the same exact response that he received in 2016. And despite our best efforts, all the time, attention, effort, congressman, media that we've put behind his case, he has not moved past phase 1 of his application. And if this guy, we've hired attorneys, can't get it past phase 1, you can imagine that someone working with a little bit less resources might be in a really bad spot. And my guy is in a province that the heat maps are kind of updated daily now as to who controls what. His province is almost 100% controlled by the Taliban, and it's like, again, it's good that we're going to get some people to Guam. Who is getting my guy out of his province? No one is definitely the answer. When will someone notify him to leave to get to Kabul? Like, I don't think anyone's going to. And so I think there's a real risk that people who, when we're talking about risk their lives for this country, may end up stuck. And it's not like, oh, that's unfortunate. It's like stuck and dead because the threat is real. Last week, when I did the New York Times interview is a little bit over a week ago, he FaceTimed with the reporter and myself, and he had just received a letter that day that said from the Taliban that they put it at his dad's house. He's been in his dad's house. He's hiding at his dad's house, and it says either you need to come with a bounty, come with a payment, and surrender yourself, or next time we come back, we're going to kill you. And I think that's a pretty bad proposition. I think if he goes to the Taliban and says, here's, $100 and I was working.
And we've seen videos of
dead.
that type of thing happening too. Like when they did surrender and then go back and then already killed, like those videos are floating around all the time.
So it's not like you cannot emphasize the how dire the situation is, and Zach was not a guy who was at Leatherneck or one of the big fobs just hanging out. Zach was with Kilo 1st Platoon, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, running around Singin District in 2010, the most dangerous place on earth at the time, right in the thick of it, where guys were getting shot, blown up every single day, and Zach was out there at one point he's listening to the ICOM radio and he says, "Hey, the Taliban's in that village. You got to go get them." And I said, "Okay, Zach, we're on our way." But we did Ranger file, right? So just we're moving behind the engineer. We can only move as fast as the engineer moves. Zach goes, "By the time you get there, they'll be gone." I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to I can't make the engineer go any faster. Is a minefield, And Zach's like, "Screw it." Takes off, tackles the Taliban guy, waits till he gets up there. We detain him. Guy was like a mid-level Taliban commander for the district. We did
and that kind of shit is so common. Like, I don't think most people realize how common the unbelievable levels of, call it valor or call it don't give a fuck, like whatever you want to call it. They have it in spades. Like my interpreter, Kyle, same thing. When we were coming around a corner, he saw some dudes as soon as we came around the corner, they picked up a cell phone. And this was in Iraq and Fallujah in 2007, whenever a lot of them were radio controlled IEDs by cell phones. And so as soon as he saw them pick up the phone, he ran over and kicked them like the fucking Spartan going into the hole, like kicked him in the chest and went back. And this is over. And your guy, Zach, as soon as you go back to Pendleton or wherever you're from, you go back to your family. He stays there and continues doing wartime operation continuously.
Yeah, man. The war is not over. I was back eating California burritos down at Trestles Beach, and he's still out in Helmand Province. So, yep. I don't know what else we can do at this point besides continue to work through our congressional representatives, media when available, and just hope that we do the right thing by them. But I know my guy Zach, 5 years later, is still in the first phase of his application. And if we don't get him out soon, he's got 4 kids and a wife. Jesus. They're not going to make it out.
Now, let me ask you to put your academic hat on, because you did teach at the Naval Academy. You're on the War College now. I think that this war is different than Vietnam with the interpreter sense, because there's so much that's written on both of the similarities. This one might be a little bit different, because from now on, wartime, if we have to go to another country to do guerrilla type warfare, and we're asking locals to do interpreting of any type, these stories are going to be all over the internet, and everybody has access to the internet. If you know that it's a good chance that Americans will leave you behind, or the UN, whatever delegation is sending you, why in the fuck would you sign up to be an interpreter? Is that something that's going to be talked about amongst the academicians at the schools that you're at or have attended?
Yeah. So, being a good ally is pretty important to maintaining, and following through is part of being a good ally. And when we win a war, we're a really good ally. When we help rebuild Germany, and so we're pretty good if we win. Was in the Marshall Plan. When we lose a war, we're losing a war.
Pretty fucked up. We have to go all the way back to that to remember a big strategic win.
Yes, definitely a little depressing here. But yeah, no. It'll be readily available, like you're saying, to anybody that we ask to work with in the future. Like, what did you do in Syria? What did you do in Iraq? And you ask these people to risk their lives with the promise that there's some kind of, there's something in it for them. And if you don't uphold your end of the bargain, it's like that clip. There's an old, when George Bush is like, there's an old saying in Tennessee. Well, we have it in Texas. I know it's in Tennessee, fool me once.
Yeah. So let's transition off of that and move into something a little bit happier for you anyways. Your foundation that you work with a lot, your group that you talk about pretty consistently on Instagram. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So Patrol Base Sabate. Before we get happy, we got to get sad.
Right. That's the nature of the military podcast.
April 2020, late Friday night, I get a call from one of my Marines that we just lost another one of my Marines from Kilo 1st Platoon to suicide. And that one was not my first Marine. All of us, I think, who served know someone, unfortunately. But that was particularly tough because Justin McLeod, he had a D1 scholarship to go play baseball out of high school. He instead enlists, goes to Fallujah with 3-5 in 2008, towards the tail end there. He does what he signed up to do. And by the time I'm his platoon commander in 2010, when we're about to deploy, he says, I was going to extend, but I just had a son and I think I'm going to get out. And I said, hey man, you got to do what's best for your family. I understand that. You're my number one nav guy. You got the DM rifle, do what you got to do, but just talk to your wife and let me know. And he comes back and says, you know what, sir, you're my family too. I can't leave you guys. Well, 2 months later, he's right over the charge of a pressure plate IED. And as I come up to him, one of my Marines says, hey, sir, can you take these? And hands me his fingers. And I look down and I see that McLeod is a triple amputee, doesn't have an arm anymore. So I'm like, well, I don't, and now I'm in this weird position that I have these fingers that he's clearly not going to have use for in the future. So I just put them in my cargo pocket. And I start to get that. I would, once I had security set in the medevac en route, I would always pull one of the junior Marines off and get my hands there in the guts of whoever was wounded.
And how old were you at this time?
22.
God damn.
3. And so when you got an amputee, it takes 2 or 3 people to be patching up. So obviously the corpsman is there, but the corpsman is like doing the most immediate, trying to save the life, and everybody else is kind of just wrapping and packing because there's meat and bones everywhere. And so you're just kind of, everybody's just wrapping and packing. And so I start to talk to McLeod, and I have, one of the most difficult conversations of my life, and that I'm trying to help him find the will to live. And I'm trying to talk to him about his son. And I know that I am probably largely responsible for this guy extending. And the thing that he looks forward to the most when he got back is teaching his son eventually how to play baseball, being a little league baseball coach, this kind of stuff. And now I'm looking at his son and looking at him thinking he'll never be able to play catch with his son. But I'm talking to him and I'm saying, hey, McLeod, you got to get back for Desmond. You got to make it back for Desmond. And the will to live is a powerful thing, and something clicked, and he started to fight, and he stuck with us, and he made it. But he received, like close to 100 surgeries over a 10-year period, and was always on the meds, always in and out of it. And he really, never stopped fighting that war. And there was a recent, I'm sure you saw a recent study that came out from Brown University that said, now 28,000 GWAT vets have committed suicide versus 7,000 that died in combat. It's 4 times as deadly to be a post GWAT combat vet than it was to actually be, it's not that we don't know how to survive the war. It's like we didn't know how to survive the war after the war. Oh. And so, I in my platoon, I had 35 guys. I had 19 casualties. I had 3 killed in action. And so I know how to write those letters. I know how to talk to my Marines about it. But it's entirely different when you put your 2-year-old daughter to bed and you're laying down and you just lay down next to your wife, and then you get the call that, hey, and it's like, and so, that was a very late night calling the troops. And within the next 30 days, one of my sergeants from when I was a company commander, and then another one of my Marines from when I was a company commander, killed themselves. And I just, same thing, like when 9/11 happened, it was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I got to do something about this thing, And so I couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore. I couldn't be passive anymore about this issue. I said, I got to get in. I got to see what I can do. But before I do anything, let me do some research and try to define the problem, right? And so I started to read all the VA suicide reports, and all the VA suicide reports say the same thing, that the leading proximal cause of veteran suicide were feelings of disconnectedness and isolation.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't expect to find in the reports was that almost twice as many non-combat veterans are killing themselves as combat veterans, and that there's not a strong correlation between combat and suicide. So I said, okay, if nearly twice as many non-combat veterans are killing themselves as combat veterans, and either way, whether combat or non-combat, the leading proximal cause are feelings of disconnectedness and isolation, what's out there to get veterans connected and in community? And what I found is that if you are special forces or wounded, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. And to me, that makes sense. You prioritize the people who sacrifice the most, right? You make them the main effort. But that doesn't mean that you stop there. And it really seemed that about 98% of the resources are allocated to about 2% of the population, which again, when you adjust for the fact that twice as many non-combat veterans are killing themselves as combat veterans, it would seem like you'd want to open up the aperture a little bit about who we're providing these resources for. And
those numbers are even worse for war times before the GWAT era. Like if you look at it from what it was in the Vietnam era, and those guys and ladies, they didn't get shit for support, like at all.
Correct. 100%. And I just, and as I go, I'm looking at organization after organization after organization, and everybody's trying to put you in a box, and you gotta be disabled enough, or you gotta be special forces enough, or you gotta have killed Osama bin Laden, or you gotta be in, and I'm just thinking like, look, I am sure I'm physically combat wounded. I've got probably some invisible wounds, but like, what if I don't want to define myself by that? Mm-hmm. What if there's more to me than just my wounds, and why do I have to come in here as a PTSD? Why do I have to come in here as disabled? What if I just want to say, hey, I served and I would like to be connected with, and so I said, let's get rid of all these boxes that everybody else is trying to put you in. Let's just say, if you served or are serving, you could join our community and we'll get you connected. And then the first thing I did is went and got 350 acres out in Montana, because I believe that there is power and healing in being outside, being out west. And so we secured that. And then I said, okay, let's make this interest based, so that it's not like, what is Tom Schumann into? Like reading, going hiking.
Well,
and
there's
shit.
your
Like,
last name. Put it out there.
Yeah.
I tried to protect you at the beginning, but you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it about like, what am I into? I want to make it, I said, what are you into? Are you into yoga, rock climbing, mountain biking? Like, I don't care. If someone's into it and wants to build a club around it, we'll build a club around it. Right. And so like, we want to get rid of every kind of excuse you might have to not get connected or into community. Cause it's like, oh, like I would join Patrol Base Abate, but they don't have a kite surfing, club. It's like, okay, bitch, you want a kite surfing club? Start it,
Yeah.
And I'll send you guys on a kite surfing retreat, right? Like, I don't care, like you name it, and I'll build the structure and I'll provide, the foundation and support. And so, and then, for example, our surf club doesn't come to Montana to go surfing, if you can imagine, but right. We've got an active chapter in SoCal. So we got in August, we've got 3 campsites at Camp Del Mar on Pendleton, and we're going to pay for all the chow and pay for all the drinks, and everybody can come down and crash, so but we just did our first 3 retreats out in Montana in July. We did a book club, a fight club for our jiu-jitsu guys, and a strength club. So out there lifting some weights, and it's again, it was like, it's great because you've got second lieutenants, lance corporals, people who've been out for 10 years, people who've been out for 10 minutes, people who are just starting. And when people come out there, I banned this phrase, I was just, or I'm just, right? Mm-hmm. We've been so conditioned with Instagram these days to think that, like, unless you carried a scar with a suppressor and had quadruple nods to white phosphorus, that you're
looking like Bruce Willis coming out in Tears from the Sun.
sure that like that your service that you're not like special enough, and I wanted to say like we're getting rid of this phrase I was just or I'm just.
Mhm.
And because there's no ego here, there's no competition. I don't care if you're the Air Force admin clerk or the special operator. We all have a seat at this table, and we're putting rank and all this bullshit that everybody else is making the priority aside, and we're just saying, hey, we're people who served, and we think having a tribe, having a purpose is probably important, and that's what we're here to
and
do.
I couldn't agree more. We talk about that consistently on this show, where it's almost like the adjectives that get this attached to veteran are almost like problematic at this point, where I'm a combat veteran, I'm a wounded veteran, I'm this veteran. Just being a veteran, just being a service member is enough. Like, to me, that's enough. It doesn't matter. Once you sign the dotted line, you do what the government asks you to do, and that's all you can be asked to do. Like, if you're a truck bubba, if you're putting fucking MREs in a warehouse, you did what your country asked you to do when they needed you to do it.
100%. And that's my philosophy. And that's what we built this organization around is that you served, service matters, you're in, no more questions, don't care. Like, I care, but I don't care. Right. And so, and then I wanted it, what happens out at the patrol base, I can tell you, not from my word, but from the testimonials of the people who went out there. It's a life-changing experience, no doubt. But, they come out there, they fill a sandbag, and I say, hey, go walk point out in your local community. Be a person who continues to serve, because you are men and women of service, and right. And you want to feel purposeful, and you want to sacrifice, and you need that tribe. And so go start a local chapter, and let's find a service organization in your community, partner with them. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? There are already great service organizations in every community. Find someone who's already reputable and trusted, provide the manpower, get in, keep serving, and then have a social component to it, right? And so that way it's enduring, it's sustainable. It's not only at the retreats in Montana, it's actually happening. And we have over 30 local chapters right now, so it's happening in Atlanta, it's happening in Chicago, it's happening in North Carolina, it's happening in New York, it's happening all over the country. And so so anytime you can have that tribe, and anytime you can tap back into that purpose. And it's so important for me to, like, you talk about these, what are these stereotypes that stick to veterans? And it's this, and what I can't stand or won't tolerate is this idea that we're broken, damaged victims looking for handouts, feeling entitled. And I say, no, actually, we're people who serve and that continue to serve. And we're addressing our community's greatest needs. And we're not looking for a handout. We're actually out here doing the work, and we're going to continue to do the work. And so we're veteran as victor, not veteran as victim. And let's continue to challenge that narrative around these veteran stereotypes.
There you go. I'm so happy to hear that, and having people that have a little clout behind their name and they're doing good things to have that same perspective, where you don't have to be fucking chesty puller to do stuff with veterans after you get out of service, because that's just not the right way to be. It's not the right way to lead, and it's not the example for the troops that are coming in after us. Thomas, I want to thank you for your time. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people reaching out to you about getting involved with your organization, which I'll help with in any way I possibly can. I want to thank you again for coming on Zero Block 30. I got to say, I wasn't prepared for the level of emotion whenever I was talking to him about the organization and where it came from. And I kind of skipped over it. I mentioned it in the interview that he was 22 when this happened, 22, 23. I cannot stress enough how insane it is that we have 22, 23-year-old people in command positions that are having to put their Marines' fingers in their cargo pockets and then rush over to help them with sucking chest wounds. And you look down and you see the person that you requested that they would extend in the Marine Corps. You know that you have to make those phone calls to the family. You have to write those letters, and it becomes a yearly thing. If he's anything like most of the great leaders that I know, every year on the anniversary of their Marine's death, they write a letter to the family of just going over, like, I haven't forgotten, we'll always remember him type thing. That level of pressure that these young folks have to deal with is just, I don't know how we continue to ask them to do it, honestly.
Right.
Like, it's just shocking to me that they rise to the occasion and do it. It's crazy.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I look back now at my age, and I look back at 22, 23-year-old me, and the position I was in.
And 22-year-old Kate.
And 23-year-old Kate was there too.
When I wasn't fucking, I too was thinking about these things.
But I guess like at
Jesus,
the time,
Kate.
at the time I approached it like, all right, yes, I'm ready. And I'm ready to lead these men and lead them in combat. And I felt prepared, but I look back now and I don't know. So maybe we do need to reevaluate the age. So, I mean, age isn't the only determining factor of making a good leader, but it's certainly anytime you have more time in the oven to cook, it can't hurt, I think.
Well, I don't think that the issue is technically or tactically. I think that technically and tactically, our leaders do a great job of being prepared and knowing what they're doing and know what to do. To me, it just speaks to the type of person who does these jobs where you're having to exude and exhibit wisdom and leadership well beyond your years. Like I feel like now at my age now at 39, I would be much more effective in my leadership style, and I'd be a better leader. I'd be a lot better man than I was when I was doing things in the Marine Corps. I would be a far better Marine now, not physically, obviously, but the mental side of it, I'd be a lot better. I was just blown away by, I'm encouraged that there's young leaders like that who are not only out there leading, but they're teaching young people that are coming into the ranks on how to be leaders. That's the exact type of person that we want around the military at all times. Let's move into save rounds and alibis. Nick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I ran that race I was talking about this past weekend. It was a good, obviously for a good cause. I was happy with my time. So it was a nice, productive weekend.
What was it? Tell everybody.
Was it?
So we can judge you.
23:47. So
that's good.
So
that's good.
Below anything below an 8-minute mile is a win.
So it was a 7:30 mile. I was frustrated a bit. I was frustrated a bit because I know that if the markers weren't very clear, so if I knew where I was on approaching the last mile, I think I had a little bit more in the tank to bring it down. And I finished outside the top. I finished 7th in my age groups, which was, I wanted to be top 5. But I know how much you guys like running on the pod.
We love running. We're huge runners. Chaps would have been top 5.
You guys are really impressed with
I'm impressed. That's good. And I blame the race coordinators for you not having a better time.
I do too. In fact, they're on Firewatch. How about that?
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
They're gonna relieve Nona.
Yeah. She's upstairs.
Still there.
She's upstairs right now. She's staring into the abyss. And she has no idea what's going on.
I love it. All right, Cons, what about you, pal?
Yeah, I want to start with another iteration of Pot Shots. Chaps, you tweeted out your birthday breakfast. So I'd like to go around and you can use the same one if you'd like. Go around the room and do ideal birthday breakfast. We will go Nick, Kate, Chaps, me, Nick, go.
Birthday breakfast. I want cake right away, first thing in the morning.
Smart.
Strong.
Specifically funfetti cake. I'm a big funfetti guy.
Oh, yeah. I like funfetti too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kate.
Shit on a shingle. Extra meaty. I want my toast extra crispy and buttered before you pour the shit on a shingle on it. Oh, Katie the Dookie rolling up the old cannon shooter. Yeah, I want big time shit on a shingle. Coffee. I want a chocolate milkshake on the side with whipped cream on it. This is also my go-to hangover thing. And then I want hash browns, matchstick, extra fucking crispy. Put some gravy on that too.
Wow. So that could also
tons of salt.
That could also double as your death row meal. It seems like
Yes, absolutely.
Chaps?
There's a lot of mess to clean up if Kate has that with an electric chair underneath her. I have two kind of. One is the one that you can get readily available. That is going to be a Southern style chicken biscuit with round egg and cheese with an egg McMuffin on the side from McDonald's. And secondly, if I have access to huge fluffy biscuits and gravy with a little sausage gravy on the top, that's my favorite breakfast that you can have. Sausage.
Now you're going to say sloppy steaks and eggs?
Oh yeah, I do like them sloppy.
Sloppy
but the Trevani's closed down in San Antonio.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Right.
Right. That's
I'm
tough.
going steak and eggs. Eggs got to be sunny side, home fries, toast. Awesome.
And love toast
with a tall glass of milk.
I like it.
Oh,
I like it.
All right. And then
I've been on a big pineapple juice kick lately.
You're such a weirdo.
Oh, big flex on the good smell.
I know.
You're such a weirdo. This weekend is one of my favorite weekends of the year. Oh man. Favorite weekends of the year, the annual Army football alumni golf outing. So I will be up at West Point with all my other Army football brothers talking about being Army football players and officers and
glory days. Oh,
honest to God, that sounds like my worst nightmare to go to.
I should make you come as a guest one year. Just sit with me.
You know what? If you would have given me time next year, remind me. I'll come. I'll caddy for you.
Okay.
We'll do a video where it's like a VH1 pop-up video where you can see what Chaps is thinking as he goes through the day. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
All right, Catherine, what about you?
Army Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash has finally his Medal of Honor posthumously as going through. And then, well overdue. We all know the story, but just I saw that everybody had been pushing for that. So I'm glad that finally went through. I'm sure that means a lot to his family.
We've said it before. It bears repeating. What's wrong with our our award system if that it takes something like this long to get approved?
It's crazy. No idea.
I don't know. I was going through a bunch of those lists because I was going through post 9/11 service members with Medal of Honors or with Silver Stars and above. There's so many that you just read like just the basic synopsis of it. You're like, how? Like Sergeant Peralta, for example, that was in the Battle of Fallujah. He jumped on a grenade and died. What the fuck else do you want?
Right.
That's not a Medal of Honor? Like what right. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they say, and the reason by it is because they have all these different qualifications for storytelling. And like, that's why Dakota almost didn't get his because everybody that was involved was killed.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy.
So you have to have all these different witness statements and shit. But if everybody dies, like, what do you do? Does that make it? It's obvious he jumped on a grenade. Like it was obvious.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the Medal of Honor memorial has been approved for Washington, D.C. That passed unanimously. And who knows who it'll be for?
I can't believe that. I can't believe that wasn't a thing already.
I know. Yeah, I'm surprised that it wasn't either. And then the U.S. is stepping up airstrikes in Afghanistan. Eye roll emoji.
Not just there, but we're also stepping up in Somalia and other places where Al-Shabaab is really grabbing a hold. There's been a lot more bombings and drone strikes that are happening in Al-Shabaab. I mean, the wars, even though we say Afghanistan is over and Iraq, now that they're pulling out all the different folks from Iraq to Syria, there's still a bunch of people on the ground. The Horn of Africa still has a lot of folks. It doesn't look like our war machine is going to be slowing down anytime soon.
No. And happy in advance because coming up this Friday, happy Alive Day to Uncle Chaps.
Thank you, Kate.
I would just like to get ahead of that as per usual.
I think it's Friday. It might be Saturday. It's hard to say.
That's really all I got right now. So,
Yeah, I don't really have anything either. It's on Saturday, by the way. So you got the date wrong, Kate.
God damn it.
Right, man. Well, 0 for 2.
Yeah. I'll be in the office next week. So that's always fun to see you guys in person for sure. We'll look back to you soon. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after, but soon we'll be going back to 2 episodes a week as well. Kate is starting off daycare. She's got daycare lined up. So little man's going to be out of her hair a little bit. During the day, she'll have more time. It's going to be a great time when we go back to 2 episodes a week. Until then, we'll see you once a week here on Thursdays. Sound the Retreat.